don't you hear? Oh, your music?
My theme song. It's not working.
Battery's that dead?
No, I don't hear it. It's playing. It's playing, but it's not on my... Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Let me see. Oh, no wonder.
It's not plugged in. There you go.
Okay. Are we countdown? We're going to wait till 4 minutes? 4 more minutes?
If you're doing that, I'm making
No,
coffee.
see when Dan's looking, he doesn't hear you. Isn't it funny? He can't listen and watch the screen at the same time. And now he's smiling.
I can hear you. I just can't think and talk. I can't chew gum and walk at the same time.
You know what? You're a walking miracle, Dan. Hey, there's a free missing person show at the Slide Bar. January 20th. I hear an Englishman in the background.
The girl joined Dan her crest comeback.
Catherine Zeta-Jones. Look, and Kirk Douglas. Look how old he is. And then
He's 101.
oh, no, she's with Michael Douglas. That's right. People don't realize that he's over 100 years old. He's 102.
101.
101 years old. Lifetime Achievement Award.
He's a year for every Dalmatian.
Yep.
This was for punk lighting.
This is for... I always do that. This is for punk lighting. Here, put your headphones on. Get ready.
Look at my coffee.
We're doing a show, Dan. When are we ready? When are we ready to intro the Jeff Sargent Show?
Are you ready?
Yeah.
Let's go.
Ha ha. Good morning. It's time for the Jeff Sargent Show on Chaotic Radio. Just an hour away from Hollywood. Depends how fast you're driving. Where are you from? How far will you drive to be on the Jeff Sargent Show? With my co-host Janky.
Good morning, guy.
Put your headphones on. Good morning, Janky.
Morning, Jeffrey. How are you, my friend?
And with Mr. Spellcheck, producer Dan Rupp.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I like the way he spells my name, Jeff Sargent Show. Hey, Dan, there's a spelling bee for over 40 coming to town. You should enter.
Hey, what's with the douchebaggery this fast off the bat?
Good morning, Dan. Hey.
This is the first time you've seen Dan since Friday, and that's how you choose to greet him?
Hey, you know what? You got to give it to Dan. I mean, we got to see a scary clown coin bank dispenser that eats pennies from hand to mouth. It's pretty scary. But he brought in my favorite bagels.
Yes.
Jamal's handmade New York
Jamal's
bagels from
New
the
York
New
bagels.
York Bagel Company.
Made with water from New York.
Made from water from New York. And I have the blueberry bagel with egg and cheese sausage sandwich. Oh, my gosh. And you got the everything bagel, didn't you?
Is that the silver one or the white one?
Yeah, except I'm scared to eat it because Dutchie is still here
Yeah.
sleeping, and I don't want him to wake up to see sesame seed crumbs. Or Dan, that's kind of scary, man. It takes a lot of balls to do that, to bring the food in here. He's not talking. He's looking at the screen.
You attacked this spelling off the get-go.
Welcome to the Jeff Sargent Show on a rainy Monday. It's going to rain for the next 3 days.
Misty rain. I cannot wait.
But, I feel sorry for those people that near the fire because they're going to get mudslides probably, right? That always happens.
Most definitely.
You know what? I think the government is up to something. I think they set the fire. They make the clouds. They shoot the rainmakers in the sky.
Welcome to Tinfoil Hat Talk with Jeff Sargent.
Tinfoil hat talk.
Black helicopters.
That's a good one, man. Oh, yeah. It always happens. Why doesn't the rain happen? Why doesn't the rain happen when the fires are going to put the fire out? Has that ever happened?
Yeah, a couple times it's happened, but
Yeah?
I think now it's basically one of those things where. Sorry.
Where what?
Well, it's one of those things where it just didn't come in time to stop the fires and it shouldn't have caused the mudslide, and
Yeah, I am in the news station right now and keeping an eye out on this huge storm that is making us. There was very heavy rain this morning.
In Rancho Cucamonga?
Yes,
I didn't feel it in Claremont.
there was a lot of heavy rain.
He's pulling your leg. I saw I saw your douchebaggery quotes about getting out sandbags.
Yes, I had to get out last night and get sandbags from Home Depot and make sure my house.
You shouldn't be doing that. I hope your kids or other people are doing that for you. You're in no condition.
He's being
You're
funny.
okay. Okay, he's being a wise guy.
Yeah, but he's right. The news last night, I was watching the news with my brother Donald. There's a bum, storm watch, bum, bum. And it's like, it's just a few droplets. F you,
Storm Watch 2018.
Yeah, 18.
He's not one of those guys that believe the weathermen, do they?
No.
You know what?
Donald, no, he hates. My grandmother was a weather junkie, and I am a weather junkie. And, he'll turn the channel we were watching a Breaking Bad rerun marathon, and I'd gone to Brucey's show, and I kicked it with some people, and then when I got back, great Scott and Blonde Enchantress has just entered the building. Hit the doorbell.
Wait a
Michelle.
second. We interrupt this program to start a new program. Hold on, everybody. Hey, get in here. We're having dead air because of you. Get back here, co-host. Oh my gosh. Keep talking, Dan. Let's set her up. Our guest is here. It's beautiful blonde Monday.
Yes, sir.
It's
Blonde Monday.
welcome to Hot Chick Monday on the Jeff Sargent Show.
And she's dressed for the rain. She looks like Diana Rigg. She's got stiletto heels, black sweater, and black pants.
You've grown so tall since I've seen you on TV. Put on
Okay,
your
Patrick.
headphones,
move
sweetheart.
That microphone a little bit closer to her.
Yes.
Make
Oh
sure
my
she
gosh,
knows
you
stop
smell
to the
wonderful.
side
What a
of it.
way to start a Monday. It's a side feed microphone. We were so bored. We were talking about the weather, and then now you walked in, and what are we talking about now? What happened? Where are we? Oh yes, we're doing a show.
Did
Okay.
you come in a kayak? I mean, how'd you get it?
We are. She is on.
And I'm the booth,
Microphone
the voice
number
in the-
4.
in the booth. So.
Say hello to us, Michelle.
Hello. I am so excited to be here.
Yeah, you know what? We're excited to have you. You've been doing some traveling on a jet plane, in a car, Uber, all over the place.
Yep.
You
Flew
came
into the
here.
East.
You
We're
texted me.
honored to have you, Enchantress.
Where did you fly in from? What state were you in when you flew in?
Indianapolis. I was there over the holidays. It's been great.
Indianapolis. How long were you there
Indianapolis.
for?
I've been there a little while. I was wrapping up some projects, and there was so much happening right before I left LA. It's been a great time to recap and go through and do the behind the scenes. Takes a lot more effort than I think I realized when I first got into this.
Wow. Well, we're honored to have you. Thank you so much.
you were just visiting Indiana. You have relatives there, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm from there. It's my home state.
It's
I'll
your
always be my
home state.
Yeah. I love being in California, though. This is where I've been doing all my work. And
I was in Beach Grove, and you know where that is?
Steve McQueen's
Yeah,
birthplace.
yeah.
Wow,
And I
look
went
at you.
downtown, went to the little strip there, bought me a Flying V guitar at the little guitar shop, and went to one of the local bars. I love that town.
We're about 15 minutes from Chino Boys Youth Authority, where
Yes.
Mr. McQueen spent his teenage years.
Oh, interesting. Yeah, this crossover. And we
Yeah.
have the legend James Dean from there, Carol Lombard.
Had his last meal. James Dean had his last meal at Dupar's, Hollywood,
Okay.
before he got hit by the on his way to wherever. he
Yeah,
was
before the tree jumped in front of him.
going. No,
Right.
I think yeah.
You know, they capture that in The Disaster Artist, and it was so
The
exciting.
death of Steve McQueen is in the disaster. Artist?
No, the James Dean.
I haven't seen that yet, but you were on Facebook. I posted that picture, the cardboard cutout of me and James Franco.
Yes.
I couldn't help myself.
I interviewed him for Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
And he was weirdly, charmingly elliptical. It's like you'd ask him about Spider-Man 3, and it was just time for Harry Osborn to die. And then it was just I mean, yesterday was Nicolas Cage's birthday, and that was the weirdest, most effed up celebrity interview I did, because he would whip his head, and he would get sweat in your mouth.
Oh gosh, what?
And
Doing
it
a
was
hair
like-
flip?
Yeah, he did that weird hair. He had the beaded hair, and Nicolas Cage would whip it. I made the Village Voice with my Nicolas Cage interview because I was in again. It was the same day I interviewed Franco. It was the press room in San Diego, so I was doing a bunch of interviews.
Oh yes, at Comic-Con.
And he was promoting Ghost Rider, and Ghost Rider had been pushed back a couple times. So by virtue of Ghost Rider being pushed back, I'd done like 3 Nicolas Cage interviews. Because every year they would trot him out there to talk about Ghost Rider, then they push Ghost Rider back.
Okay.
So I said, we were talking about Ghost Rider, and he goes, Ghost Rider, he could defeat Spider-Man with just one look. And then later in the day, I interviewed Tobey Maguire and told him what Nicolas Cage said, and this got me in the New York Post and the Village Voice. And Tobey Maguire grabs my tape recorder and goes, Nicolas Cage said that? Well, I'm not even going to dignify that with an answer. So it was just kind of charming, you know what I mean?
Oh, absolutely. There's so many eccentric personalities in this business, and that's what's so fun about it.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
Now
Depends on how the eccentric personality is. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. This year's been a rocky, funky year, and so it's
yes.
bringing out the personalities we never really knew about.
There's a picture on the internet today of Oprah kissing Harvey Weinstein. Have you seen that yet?
No, I have not.
Yeah, and then so everyone's been talking about that this morning.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it was really wonderful to see her, to watch the Golden Globes and to hear what she had to say.
Oh, you're already.
Were you there?
I
Were-
was at the pre-event red carpet festivities outside. I did not.
So
go
what?
into the
Tell
show.
us what went on last night. What did you witness?
I witnessed James Franco winning Best Actor for Motion Picture Musical Comedy, and I was part of that film and being there. For
You
the
worked on
filming.
Disaster Artist?
I was there for the filming one night, and I'm a theater participant.
Right. And
So-
I was going to ask you about that. What do you think? I've only seen the clips. I didn't watch the award show. But he wouldn't let Tommy Wiseau speak.
Oh, you never know what Tommy's going to say.
Wow.
I think that was a little wise. I think that was wise on Franco's part. I mean, the fact that he invited him up to the stage and thanked him immediately, that's more.
But he armbarred him. Tommy
Yeah.
Wiseau sees the microphone. He's like, baby Godzilla. He's going to
Yeah.
run up to it.
No.
And basically Franco kind of armbars him to keep him from, lifts an elbow to his throat to keep him away from the mic.
Oh my God.
But it was some actors haven't. They don't always thank the people who wrote the book or who they did the story on. So the fact that he even had them on the stage, I think, is a huge.
Oh
and-
yeah.
and
I
it
mean,
was his
there would be
moment.
no story of music without Tommy, and
The guy his brother played did not look happy in the clips I saw. Did you notice that?
Oh, I thought
Why
he
is
looked
that?
touched. I thought Dave Franco looked
Yeah.
really touched. Oh, you're
Dave
talking
Franco
about
looked
Greg.
touched, but the
Yeah.
Greg who Dave Franco was playing did not look happy in the clips I saw.
Oh, maybe he didn't get his coffee that morning.
I agree.
So there were a lot of winners last night, and I was involved with 5 projects that were actually nominated. I was on Feud, and it was happy to see that they were nominated, even though they didn't win. Sterling K. Brown won a Golden Globe, and I was a part of This Is Us as a featured teacher.
Wow.
actually,
Oh,
in that.
wow.
And then I was on Glow. And
Oh, you were on Glow.
Yeah, I worked.
Oh,
with
you're the
Allison
Republican
Brie.
donor on Glow. I looked at your resume.
Thank you. Yeah, I was in the scene with Allison Brie and Elizabeth Perkins, and that
No,
was
did-
really monumental for me.
Did Perkins chain smoke?
She wasn't smoking on that set,
Mm-hmm.
but she was totally in character and focused, and I admired her dedication. You could tell she was really on it.
I'd been at a set she was on, and you would see these lipstick-covered cigarettes piled up at her feet.
Oh,
And that girl should be in an iron lung by now.
I know. It was actually really nice to work on that because it was filmed in Pasadena. And
Oh, Glow was?
Yeah, the episode that I worked on,
Where'd you shoot?
Liberal
Oddfellows Hall?
It was at this mansion.
It was at the end of Colorado, though, by the Ralphs, right?
Yeah.
You were shooting at Oddfellows Hall. I did.
Oh, that's a great place to film.
We did a Tim and Eric there. We did a couple of weird little indie movies. I don't know why, but it's this crazy big building at the very. There's only two Ralphs in
Yeah.
Pasadena,
Yeah.
and one of them is by Oddfellows Hall. My favorite Ralphs in Pasadena is on Lake in Colorado.
Exactly. Yeah.
And remember, they shot The Big Lebowski, and when they were doing locations, when Lebowski became famous, after the movie came out and got a cult following, nobody, even the production notes, knows which Ralphs they shot at.
Oh.
Remember the opening where he writes the check for like 69 cents of skim milk, and they didn't know which Ralphs they shot it at. I mean, so there's a 50-50 chance if you've been to one or both, they're not sure which Ralphs was the Lebowski Ralphs. And this is the company, this is the studio releasing releasing the call sheets. they don't know which Ralphs they shot
How
at.
funny.
Yeah,
it?
there's so much illusion in Hollywood, and that's been very interesting. I remember when I first got my feet wet, and when I first got started, I was on a TV show where they were spraying baking soda in the air just to give it a hazy effect. I don't know if they would even do that anymore.
When'd you
but
get your SAG card, Michelle?
I am eligible, so I just have to get it. I just
Oh,
have
no,
to get it.
you're one of those guys.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to get it because once you get it, this is the best time of year.
Yeah.
Because I like the motorcycles outside.
Yeah, the two-stroke. I thought they were outlawed. We have outside the window here. Behind this is a window, and the gardeners are out there with their weed
force.
whackers and
Leaf blowers.
I was going to pretend
leaf
they were
blowers,
I was gonna
interrupting our show.
I was going to
How
pretend they
dare
were lightsabers. But let's see.
$3,000 it
Yeah.
cost. I don't have 3,000. That's why I don't have mine either.
Oh, well,
Oh.
the
But this
SAG.
is thank you for putting me back on track. This is why it's the best time of year to have to get your SAG card. In as long as your dues are paid by like October, you get every single Golden Globe, Academy nominated, Screen Actors Guild nominated movie in the mail.
Oh, in the mail.
I got I, Tonya, I got Shape of Water, I just got I, Tonya, Shape of Water. I just got 3 billboards outside of blah blah blah, Bueling, whatever.
They really took away a lot.
Let me ask you this, Pat. When you get those in the mail, do you have to mail those back? Are they for you?
They're yours, but
They're yours.
some d-bag tried to sell some d-bag with a SAG card.
Because these are
She tried to
currently
sell them-
plain. These
yeah.
are like only
Yeah.
you are supposed to have these.
And you know what? And everybody's good about it, but every now and then you'll have like a d-bag who will walk into Amoeba and trying to sell the movies, the current movies back,
Oh, God.
and they tell you not to do that.
Of course.
And they're encoded so they can find out if you make copies and mail it out.
Is it encoded with you? Like it's okay, it's sending to Pat Jenkowitz. We're sending him this copy.
You get a certain
That
number.
DVD knows is they like
If that DVD
it's got a spider tracer on it.
Yeah, they threw some POS out of SAG a couple of years back. Turn up the volume, sir. We're competing with the leaf blower. Dan the man.
On the guest. Turn up.
Oh,
your
turn
volume.
up Michelle's
You guys are fine.
Okay.
and move those.
Mic number 4,
move that dainty
Michelle
nose
Arthur.
right short of the mic. Yeah, perfect. No, closer to the mic.
Okay.
Perfect.
Into
How's
the
that?
rubber band.
How's
Talk into the rubber band.
Talking to the rubber in the man, baby. It may go against every one of your acting instincts, but talking to the rubber band.
Let it out.
Yes. So I got shape.
Make love to the microphone, okay?
Oh, okay.
Make love to the microphone.
Make love to the microphone.
And that'll be our
I don't
after
have.
show.
I've got a front feed mic because
It's your show.
it's my show.
Because you're a frontal kind of guy.
Yes, he's full frontal. He's only wearing pants because you're here.
I don't need to know what goes on. behind
He's
closed
on his
doors.
best behavior this
So
morning.
it's better to join now
The
than
Harvey
3
Weinstein
months
of
from
Cucamonga
now.
Radio.
Then 3 months from now, or what? What do you?
Yeah,
what do you?
make sure you join before October. When you guys do join, make sure you join before October because you get all the movies when you pay your dues for October.
Great.
Awesome
Nice little bow.
Yeah, and you also get invited to all the.
screenings.
They'll do screenings where the cast and crew will talk, and that's kind of interesting. You know what I mean? I mean, I dig it. I mean, I went to one for The Artist a couple of years back, and I remember thinking it was such a funky. It was before the movie came out, and I knew it was going to win because it was the most different movie you'd seen in a long time. You know,
Yeah. So,
what have you seen lately that you liked?
all of mine.
Oh, that's right. Okay, loyalists.
Well, and those Q&As are really helpful. I learned a lot from those, and I was able to have one on a film 12 where I took the stage and answered questions.
The film was called 12.
Mm-hmm.
What was it about?
It's one of the first ones I did. It was really interesting. 12 months, 12 films, 12 filmmakers. I was in April and December, and a lot of this was put together for the festival circuit, and it actually took President's Innovation Award at the Burbank International Film Festival.
Oh, did you go to that?
I could not go to that. I had another obligation. But
You know,
it's there.
I meant to go. It was one of those things I meant to go, and then I didn't have anything in, but I just wanted to see what they're showing.
Oh.
I didn't. Every now and then, if you work on like an indie thing and you go up on stage with them, I never know what to say because if I'm just acting in it, I don't feel like, you know what I mean. I mean, I can't tell you why somebody did a shot here or a shot there. I just find it an interesting experience, you know, to go in and like Chastity, you know, I did a bunch of radio and all that for that. It's a cool horror little indie, but you know what I mean? I don't want to speak for the director. I don't want to speak for the producer. You know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm
Yeah.
a cog in a mighty independent machine.
right. And there's so much collaboration. So I just speak my part and what I've done for it. So
Now, what brought you out? When did you come out? You know what I mean? Not years or anything, but were you a kid when you came out? Were you in high school or?
right. I had this interest when I was a kid, and I just really felt like it wasn't possible being from the Midwest. And
I had the same thought. Yeah.
you know, so many people. I think it's such a huge advantage to grow up here because you know the people. It's in the blood. You see sets being filmed all the time, just walking down the street. You know, and it's a part of your life. But it seems so far removed from you know, the rest of the world when you're not here. And then getting here, I think, is half the battle. So I had that spark in me, but I pursued media, what you guys are all about too. You know, there's so many different facets of that, but there's so much overlap with media to the entertainment business, and I was really surrounded by it with the luxury lifestyle magazines I represented. And
Oh, you wrote for magazines.
right, I was on the editorial side and advertising, business
It's
development.
weird. I did the same thing. I mean, we came out here. My family came out here when I was a teenager, and everybody out here was like, "Oh, the movies are made." I was in Michigan. Movies were like 3,000 miles away.
Mm-hmm.
When I came out here, I started crashing movie sets when I was like 15 years old.
Just
Yeah.
get right in there.
Yeah, and I mean, it was really fascinating for me to be on a set and see how everything worked. And you would go to high school in the morning, and your friends are like, "Oh, movies are made a long way. They're made 30 miles that way. It's like 30 miles.
That's not
That's
far.
what's stopping you.
Right.
I'm from 3,000 miles away, and you're telling me how far away the Hollywood is."
But I
Did-
think it's people.
Did you ever see films filmed in your town? What town
Indianapolis.
were you were in Indiana? What town?
Indianapolis.
Yeah, I was born
In
in
Indianapolis?
Born in Indy, and then my parents moved me to Greenwood when I was 6 months, and then Mooresville High School and Bloomington, Indiana University.
Oh, John Camp Cougar Melons from Bloomington.
Cougar Melons, huh?
Yes,
Was he an adult film star?
They did film that one movie, Breaking Away, with Jackie Earl Haley.
Mhm.
There.
Well, that was shot in Indiana, right?
It was.
Bloomington.
Not Indianapolis.
Hoosiers.
Yeah, Hoosiers,
We've
good
had
girl.
a couple. We've
Yeah.
had some work done there, but I got out here in '98 for the first time. I've made a couple of trips back.
Wow.
Have
And
you adjusted to the brutal weather
Oh, right.
out here in Southern California?
I tell you, when I landed this time, I was coming from -14, and it
Wow.
was so bitter cold. I
Yee.
raced in like LA to Vegas. You see the lead actress racing in with her coffee cup. I was doing the exact same thing, and I spilled coffee all over my script for Crazy Lucky. I was
Oh.
studying my lines on the plane, and everyone's looking at me like, "What is? This is a horror story or a comedy?" But it was 73 when I landed, and I immediately feel the warmth and smell the greenery, the pungent.
You missed
smell.
it, didn't you?
Loved it, loved it.
Once you go back in the snow, it makes you appreciate what you have here.
Oh, absolutely. So when I got here in '98, balmy, I was in Orange County and got my start there. I literally crashed a set like you did.
Atta girl. Once that wasn't funny. You never forget your first one.
Right. I was going to a meeting for a magazine. I was representing Angelino at the time.
Oh, you wrote for Angelino.
Yeah.
Wow, look at you.
Yeah. I was on the launch team. I actually founded that magazine.
You started the.
with a team with Michael Kong in 1999.
Wow,
Yeah.
the great Michael Kahn. Wow.
Right. And then what happened was I was going to my appointment and literally walked through the set unknowingly and bumped into someone there, this kind of crazy guy who said, "You should come with me tomorrow." He out of the blue. And he told
That's
me
how you met Harvey?
he was Oh, darn.
Sorry.
Darn.
You missed that 3-shower deal.
I escaped. So he took me to the set of a TV show in 2000, I guess it was, and
What was the show? I know you know.
Any Day Now.
Wow, Any Day Now. So you're on the set of Any Day Now. That was your first set.
Yeah.
You never forget your first set.
Right.
I mean, mine was a Canon film. What is now the Citadel Mall.
Okay.
At the time was when I crashed the set there, it was the Uniroyal Tire Factory. And I remember it was this low budget Blade Runner ripoff, and it was just so exciting. The director was falling asleep in the chair, and the director, they were like the two big mafiosa guys who were blocking everyone from talking to the director. Director, remember, this is my first Hollywood set. The director's falling asleep in the chair. And this little Asian guy falling asleep in the chair, and they would kind of slap him awake. Wake up, direct movie.
Oh, God.
And they were blocking everyone.
Wake up, direct movie.
Yeah, and it's like all these kids are at SC and UCLA killing themselves trying to get into film, and this a-hole has a film, and they're forcing him to direct it.
That's crazy.
It was like Patty Hearst.
Yeah, and USC's top notch. But when I arrived, I wasn't on the slate, of course. I wasn't supposed to be there.
Atta
but
girl.
As
That's
soon
even
as
better.
I got there, they're checking everyone in, and well, all right, we'll let you stay. And then at the end of the day, as the AD was watching over us, he said, you're really going to love this business. You should stick with it. And I did. I did.
Now in your 20th year, by the way. Yeah.
Right. So, well, I only did it a couple of years, and all the naysayers kicked in. You really have to push through that. And they derailed me, and so
if you listen to them, you'll never get anywhere.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, you just kind of, you assume you can't fly and jump off anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I stuck with my magazine work, but
it's always an income because I do the same thing. You as a struggling actress wouldn't be allowed to meet this director or this producer, but you as an interviewer are welcomed right in.
Oh,
You know?
absolutely. Yeah, that happened. That's how I met Seth Rogen at his Hilarity for Charity event.
Interviewed him and sat next to his dad at one of the earliest screenings of Superbad.
Okay.
And wound up I've interviewed him for Superbad and Green Hornet, but he was a really cool cat.
Oh yeah, I love Seth. So anyway, I was just dabbling in it, getting my feet wet. I did like 6 TV shows and 4 movies.
Like what shows?
Commercial.
What shows were you on the set of?
Beverly Hills 90210.
Oh,
I was just going to say, what was that set like?
Yeah,
man?
please.
There were hundreds of people there, right? It was a bar scene, and
Please tell me Shannon Doherty was there. You have any
No.
Shannon Doherty stories for us?
no, but Tori Spelling was.
I adore Tori Spelling.
Yeah, and she had a kissing scene with this guy at the bar, and of all times, the director pulls me down and gets me right there next to her, and he wants me to witness this and react to their kissing. So luckily it was just like 3 or 4 takes, but it's a little awkward, you're watching someone make out basically. And that was my I was pleased I could be on that show and get my feet wet like that. I was also on Path to War, and that means a lot to me. The film with Alec Baldwin, Michael Gambon.
Did you meet Baldwin?
Well, he looked right at me, and we were kind of staring at each other for a moment, and there was a pause. He was speaking, and he kind of paused, and we had that locking eye thing, and then he went about his business, But I did talk to him later because I was on a flight from L.A. to New York.
Oh, you on the flight he got thrown off of?
Not that way.
Oh.
Interesting. But he was in first class, and I was on my way to my seat in the economy section, and I noticed him right away, and that same locking eyes thing, and I took my seat, and then I thought, I can't waste this opportunity. We were Path to War together.
You handed him a script you wrote on the plane?
Better than that.
Thank you.
Better than that. I wrote a note and gave it to the flight attendant to give to him, and said, I'm in seat 16B or whatever, or 6. I was on the aisle.
Alec, they give me this note to give it to you. I have a bum.
I just said congratulations on your award. I think he won a SAG award the night before.
Woohoo! They give those things out like M&Ms.
Right.
I don't have one yet, of course.
Your day's coming.
Yeah.
He's coming.
So anyway, I was reading a magazine, typically.
Was he on the cover?
too, and
Have your
no,
Hollywood moment.
it was something like People, you know, something celebrity oriented though. And I'm engrossed in my magazine.
Is
when,
Kim Basinger a bitch? Question mark on the cover. I enjoyed that publication. Sorry.
Anyway, he came back
He came back to coach.
to coach.
That's a
and
rock and roll move.
Came right next to me and said he wanted to introduce himself. And
By the way, that's a Menchie thing to do. You know, that defeats the stereotype about him.
I was really in shock. You know, I wasn't expecting him to come back. I was just saying, thanks for working with me on Path to War. But that
Did
was
you
my
fan
moment.
yourself with the magazine? Like a southern.
I think I was just in shock that I didn't say too much.
Well, the fact that he came back there is that's really charming.
Well, I slipped a picture of myself in the note.
Did you really? Nice.
So maybe that helped. If maybe it was just a note, I don't know.
I watched an actress do that. It was kind of painful. An actress did that on the set of K-Pax to Kevin Spacey. She didn't get the memo. And he picked up, she put her headshot on a chair. I remember him walking over. We're shooting over at Renmar, you know, Renmar over in Hollywood. And he picked up this cute blonde's headshot and he goes, "What am I supposed to do with this?" And it just dropped. And it seemed that, wow. And the crew all knew someone was kind of laughing as he just dropped the headshot.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the risk you take, right?
Yeah,
the
there
fear
you go.
factor's there all the time.
You got.
Exactly.
You have to
Yeah.
expect that. You know that
Right.
someone's going to take it and toss it in the trash.
It's
or
literally,
whatever.
yeah, it's literally, you got to decide if you're going to do it or not. If you do,
Right.
you got to follow through. You know?
Full tilt. Yeah.
Did you talk to Luke Perry at all?
No,
No?
missed that opportunity.
And who was the other guy that he played? Dylan, right?
Jason Priestley.
Jason Priestley. What happened to that guy?
Well, actually, did you hear what happened to that guy?
No.
This story just came out. He socked when he was being thrown out of a Miramax party. He punched out Harvey Weinstein.
Oh my God.
He
You know?
did.
Yeah,
Oh my
and they
God.
said the actress who revealed the story was wondering if it killed his career because, unlike Luke Perry, Priestley just disappeared right after the show. You notice
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
Well, no matter who it is, I don't know if you want to punch anyone. You know, word spreads.
Yeah, exactly. I think what happened is Weinstein, according to the story, he crashed a Miramax party, and when he was leaving the party, Weinstein decided to showboat and grab him by the arm. And this guy is a Canadian hockey player, Jason Priestley.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So when you grabbed his arm, he goes, the story was Weinstein said, "You want to discuss this with me outside?" Because he's a big fat guy and, you know, and the other guy's a short TV actor. So he turned around and he goes, "Why don't we do it here?" And he punched him.
Oh my God.
Oh
know,
wow.
These stories are so
Isn't that? Yeah.
remarkable.
Backstage.
It's true. I believe they're true.
And he never bragged about it or anything because at the time it was probably career suicide to his agent. But because they said his agent pushed him to apologize to Harvey and he refused.
You know, that's the thing about men, this barbarian element. You're kind of raised to protect and fight, and it never goes away. And then I think as men, you just react sometimes, and you do the hits, or you know, you're at war with whoever, and then you realize there's some ramifications and social,
Right. You strike first, ask questions later kind of thing. You know what I
in a
mean?
social environment. Right?
Exactly. Exactly.
So excuse me.
No,
But,
not at all. You're very dainty.
It was great to come back. I just wanted to circle back to answer your question about being, you know, how I got into it.
Yes, please.
And I did do a little dabbling, you know, with this, and I was on the fence with the naysayers kind of derailing me. So when I decided to really, this is what I want to get involved with, I came back a couple of times and got back in 2014, and that's when I came. Started going to the Studio 4 acting and filmmaking school that James Franco founded.
I have a friend who was in that program too, you know. and
Okay.
Did you get usually what Franco does, he'll grab a bunch of students to work on the movie. Did you work on a movie with him?
So many.
Did you work on As I Lay Dying?
I did not. That was actually out before.
I hated that book, by the way, Faulkner.
Uh-huh.
You know, it's one of the worst books, most depressing books I've ever read.
Oh.
He actually adapted it.
Well, what's so coincidental is I was working somewhere else, and that movie actually arrived on my desk, kind of thing. And I noticed his picture, and the first thought I had was how admirable that someone like him, and I didn't know who he was really, was pursuing the arts and making a living and doing something he really wanted to do. So it was in 2014 through that school that I made so many connections that really helped develop.
How was he
my
as a teacher?
education.
How was he as a I'm sorry, both your education and what else? I'm sorry, you were saying?
Just by taking classes and learning.
And he accepted you into the class, which
training.
is really exciting, you know?
Well, I was accepted into the school. Yeah. So he had instructors under him as well. And he did have some master classes where he was the sole instructor with other assistants there, of course. But I did audit that. And I had other instructors like Carmen Argenziano, who was
From
in
Laverne and Shirley.
Oh, and Godfather Part 2.
Oh, no, you're right, Godfather. Frankie Potentially.
I'd have to look at his list. I know he has over 200 credits.
Yeah, but Godfather Part 2 is pretty damn big.
Oh, he's phenomenal, and he was my advanced acting teacher there at Studio 4. And then I had people like David Garrett and Stacy Miller in my screenwriting classes, and Ryan Moody in my producing class. Anthony Montes I've worked with, and he's had outside workshops as well. But through this school and meeting these people, I've been able to develop both my training and the networking aspect, which has been crucial to being on some of these films I've been on. To just answer your question though about Franco's projects, he directed 10, and I was in that, and he was the executive producer on Dark Hours Taipei, which I had a role in as Dorothea Duncan. And he also was the executive producer of Dark Hours Roxana, which is a beautiful film. I can't wait to see it out. But he was also executive producer of Actors Anonymous and a number of others that I was a part of. So like the Dark Hours, those two were coming through his master class. So the students were creating those. It's a package, I guess you could say. So when in total, I think I have 6 connections to him. I was on the Mindy project. He was on that as well. Outside of Franco, though, the school, I think just going to school, some actors don't even go. I think there's some A-listers who've never even gone to an acting school. But for me, I wanted to build my confidence and really know what I'm supposed to be doing.
You know, some classes at AFI are also pretty good. Once you get SAG, they offer you classes where you could take like 4 classes with somebody at AFI or something. And it never hurts to sharpen up a little bit here and there. You know what I mean? I mean, I have a friend who actors did a lot of stuff. He's kind of worked as a coach for my brother and I. And, you know, you'll run lines with him, and he'll sharpen you up during audition season for commercials and stuff. You know what I mean? I mean, and that sort of thing helps. You know what I mean? I mean, because everybody gets bad habits, and that kind of pulls you out of them, you know?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So it's been great to have these people around me, and a lot of them are on my own film, Faith's Shadow. So
now, did you direct Faith's Shadow?
I'm holding the seat. I'm the placeholder right now. I'm in talks with an A-lister who is going to play the lead, and he'll take over the directing. But I also have Carmen Argenziano and Kathleen Mendoza as my co-directors.
Why do I know Kathleen Mendoza? Actress, right?
A lot of oh yeah, and she's done a lot of plays as well. She's theatrical, but the cast it contains some top-notch people. Kat Kramer,
Kat Kramer, yeah, wow,
Golden Globe winner, Miss Golden Globe herself, and her mom. Karen Sharp, they're both in my film.
Karen Sharp, not the radio, not the love songs on the coast DJ.
No, the one who was married to Stanley Kramer.
Oh yeah,
Producer director.
Okay, you know she's in one of the Star Trek movies. Is that her? Is that Stanley Kramer's wife? Somebody's wife, a big director's wife, plays the Catwoman in Star Trek V, the Shatner directed one.
Okay.
I'm not sure it was Stanley Kramer's wife, but it was somebody like that.
Okay. Well, he just got a star in Palm Springs on their new Hollywood Walk of Fame.
I did a teen sex comedy in Palm Springs, and there was nothing to do. Literally, it was 105 every time you left the. We were shooting, and we must have eaten at Ruby's.
Oh yeah.
7 days a week, because there was nothing else to do. There was nowhere else to go. Everyone's going to Ruby's, and there was a good sandwich place there too. We must have gone there half the time, but it was so weird because they would say blah 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 is getting their star on the Palm Springs Walk of Fame, and it's like we're not doing anything. Let's go clap.
Okay, I've got a text from one of our new listeners. He just started listening the other day. His name is Gus. He's from Sweden.
Ah, hello, Gus from Sweden.
So I think it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon there. But whatever it is, he's listening now.
From Sweden?
From Sweden.
From Sweden. Hey, thanks, Gus, for tuning in, man. We appreciate that.
We do, because we're all over the world.
As we say in Swedish, blah, 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 blah.
We wanted to ask, have you ever been harassed on the couching couch?
I had to get started somewhere, Gus. Don't judge.
Oh,
I'm sorry. You meant Michelle.
Oh, you're talking about Michelle here.
Oh, thank
Okay,
God.
you don't want to hear our stories.
Yeah, I don't want to hear your guys'
My
story.
long, terrible night at Harvey Weinstein's castle.
And did you wear all black last night?
Especially when you're a gorgeous blonde woman.
Yes, charming blonde. Tell us about.
It's never the only time I was on a set for the History of Funk, which was an industrial documentary that played at the Seattle Experience Music Museum.
Yes, which is now, it did so poorly, it's now half the Seattle Science Fiction Museum.
Yeah, they didn't have a lot up there, but they did have a cool exhibit at the time, and I did fly up and see my film. I was a front row dancer, and Aretha Franklin was there. And the director had an assistant come up to me and say, he loves your leather. I was wearing black leather pants. He loves your black leather pants and wants to get a pair for his wife. Where does he get them?
Wow.
And so I said, well, these came from San Francisco. I can't remember the boutique,
Well, they look so much better when Michelle wears them than his wife for some reason.
That was memorable. That was a long time ago. But the harassment factor hasn't happened with me. Not in this industry.
Mm-hmm.
It has happened in the magazine industry, but I'm not really doing that anymore. So
Because it's not for lack of.
I love some of those magazine shots. What was that one I posted on Facebook with the one where you're in the?
Oh, right. Yeah.
I love that picture.
The photographer for Indianapolis Monthly, that's where that came from, Tony Valinas. He's done Peyton Manning. He shot.
You did Peyton Manning?
He
Interesting.
shot-
Tough fellow.
You just
Sturdy,
outed-
I'm guessing.
outed Peyton Manning.
You just outed Peyton Manning, Michelle. Nicely done.
I had to bring in my indie guys. I'm loyal.
Now, the magazine market, though, has gotten harder and harder. We're basically in the ice age of magazines.
Right, which is all the better that I finally pushed away these naysayers and went into this filmmaking full time because that's what I really want to do. I wanted to do it at age 6. I should have done it then. So here I am.
You didn't have an agent. You didn't have an airplane.
An airplane.
You're in Indianapolis.
No, but I did have my.
You're watching JJ the jet plane, thinking about being in Hollywood.
I did have my parents' clothesline though, and I remember hanging a blanket over it and running around the neighborhood getting kids to come to my play. And I hadn't written a script. I didn't have.
Sounds
a
more like a
director.
burlesque show.
Come on, you're only 6 years old.
I actually had
There
my
will be
dog-
nudity.
I had put a hat or something on my dog, and I had my dog act out some scene with the blanket as
That's
the
kinda cute.
backdrop.
You're kind of doing the Little Rascals thing, putting on a little show for your friend.
When it's in you, it's in you, though. So I'm happy that I got back out here and have lived out here to see this come to
Fruition.
to fruition. And just the other night, I met with Marie Lauren. She and I worked together on The French Teacher. She's the lead actress in that. I played Jessie, and this is going global. There are so many people interested in this film. It's wrapping up post-production right now.
Don't jinx them.
Right, it's
There's
doing
no way
well.
this won't sell.
Yeah.
Yeah, dogs are great, because I used to do stand-up.
With dogs.
And I would practice in front of my dog, so she heard so many bad jokes.
Would you
I felt bad for her, She had to sit there and listen to me tell bad jokes, and then she would get sick of it and go in my office and be like, I'm done. I'm going to bed.
Would you scream at the dog when she missed her?
Yeah, you missed your line.
Exactly.
So it's fun, being back and seeing these people I've worked with that I'm working on other projects with. And the dog, passed away, but yeah, I'll have to get new players. Just yesterday I met with Maxim Leonov and my other dancer, Michelle Stratton. We were rehearsing the dance scene for Fate's Shadow, and that was exciting just to, watch them dance and
Now,
play.
that was up north. You flew up. You were telling me you were, where were you, up north?
That was at Westlake Village. We were at the Hyatt Westlake yesterday.
Oh.
And I did some taping of that. I'll post that. So it was neat. Maxim Maxim also does hair. He's from Belarus, near Russia, and he has the accent. He's very dramatic. And he put me in this exquisite hairstyle. My hair's never been wrapped like that. These hair and makeup people
How long
are
did that
amazing.
take?
It took, we started at 12:30, I think, and we got that done at 1:35.
Actually, that's pretty good time.
It was closer to 2 because I said, I gotta check out. I gotta get to Beverly Hills. So it was like 5 till 2 or something. It took about an hour and a half to do this.
You had me looking at Karen Sharp's resume.
Yeah, your hair's pretty long. I mean, there's so much you can do with it, right?
I
I mean,
think
it takes. I've seen people up there up to 2 hours doing hair.
Yeah, I think I've established this new admiration for hair and makeup people because I think I've been able to book some projects just because I have a lot of hair here they can play with on these time period pieces.
Yeah.
Like I was on I'm Dying Up Here, and they had
the comedian TV series, right?
Yeah, Jim Carrey. You guys would love that show.
Wow.
Yeah, and they put it was 1970s based, so they have to put you in costume for that and make you look 1970s. So.
Nice.
How long do they have you in hair for that?
Oh, good, 40 minutes.
Really? That's pretty quick, huh?
Well, it just takes time to make the right look, and they do a lot with it. So I've been lucky. I had that was Gloria Ponce who worked on my hair, and she's won an Emmy for her hair work on Mad Men.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Well, the hairstyles on Mad Men are unbelievable. They're very, very convincing. They're just that makes the timepiece. I mean,
the
when you do that right, and you just like right in the time machine,
Yeah, my wife does the same thing. When I worked,
Your wife worked on Mad Men?
No. When I worked for KMS, the hair care company, KMS, my wife did a model show, and it took a team because she has long, beautiful, curly brown hair. It took a team from Lou Gallo's salon from San Francisco to do her hair, and they did it. And it looked to me, I didn't like it. I like her hair. I like her hair just flowing, but they put it up in all these weird braids, and it was all goofy looking. I'm like, man, they spent like 2 hours on you, and this is what I get.
Yeah, it's an artwork. It takes an artist degree, I think, to get into some of these positions. I worked with Brian Andrew Tunstall. He won an Oscar for hair on How the Grinch Stole Christmas.
Oh, wow.
And he did my hair for Veep, and it looked like whipped cream by the time he was over. I was like, where's the coffee? Where's the coffee? Here's the
whipped cream hairdo.
That was always the worst. When you do a creature gig, they would put up to 127 baby pins in your hair to hold on to the whatever wig you were wearing on top of the makeup effect. And I just remember it felt like they took a staple gun to my scalp.
Oh, I know.
You couldn't lay down. You couldn't sit down. All it did was pull and hurt.
I can
You've
totally
been on
relate.
Veep. That is my wife's favorite show.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
How often were you on it?
I just did one episode of that, and I played a rich Alabama woman, and it was shot. Oh my God, it was so cold. It was like 30 degrees, but for California, that's pretty cool.
Was it on location or at the studio?
It was on location. It was at this house, and we were supposed to pretend it was 80 degrees in Alabama. Very humid,
What?
hot.
Why do they always do that? Whenever the opposite, it's always opposite. You
Right.
know, they want snowfall in the winter, in the summertime. Summertime, they want it cold. I never
Right.
understood that in the film industry.
Timing. Just fly us all to Alabama, right? And shoot it there on the beach. But I remember it was so cold that we would immediately put our coats on, and then the director would say, "Okay, coat." He would just keep yelling coats, and then we would know on or off, depending. And so he'd yell coats. We'd all take them off, and then the cameramen decided to do a different angle. So they got yelled
Wow,
at.
very cold morning.
Yeah, when the director was yelling at them, when I say coats, these people only have like 5 seconds, so you guys, coats back on, you know,
Wow.
and you guys have to be quick.
Yeah, and nature has this thing. I call it, and this is a part of one of my stand-up jokes, nature's natural thermometers.
Hang on, tell us when to laugh.
Women have 'em. They can't deny
I
it.
can see why you fired the dog.
Oh, it's a fun business.
Dogs and birthday hats. That's what would be my stage show. Reenacting mammoth plays with dogs.
No complaints, though. You just never know what your situation you're thrown into, which is what I love about it, the variety.
Since the very first set I've ever been on, my ritual is the same. I go in, I get a big tanker of coffee. You walk right up to the truck, you get the big tanker of coffee, you throw in the coffee-made French vanilla, and you grab the best-looking cruller at craft service, and all is right with the world. That's my ritual. Anytime I booked, any set I've been on as a reporter, any set I've worked on as a publicist, that's my morning ritual, and nothing can go wrong once you do that.
Yeah,
You know?
it still is, Patrick. Okay, nothing's changed.
As long as there's coffee and a cruller, my boy, you know, I'm the happiest dog on earth.
And a bagel.
And a bagel, yeah. Well, thanks to you, I was always a donut guy. You've gotten me a new appreciation for bagels, as has Jamal's, a New York bagel over in Rancho Cucamonga.
Our sponsor,
Our brave, beautiful,
New
handsome-
York Bagel Company in Rancho Cucamonga on the corner of Archibald and Foothill.
Did I
Where
mention
the
how
water
dashingly
comes from New York.
the water comes from New York? Did I mention how dashingly handsome Jamal is? When the sun hits him just right, he looks like Clark Gable.
And what about after the bagel? If you wanna
Gosh,
go
I
have
wish I had a
glass of-
glass of wine in my
wine
hand
and a
after a good
cigar.
bagel, and maybe a cigar.
Well,
Not-
that would be Pacific Wine Merchants and Cigar Exchange at the Metrolink station in downtown Upland. Yes, the finest cigars, the biggest humidor in the valley.
spitting distance of the International House of Pancakes.
Oh, and
So if you hit IHOP, you know you're close.
they have music on the weekends. Be entertained out there in the patio with live music at Cigar Exchange and Wine Merchants, Pacific Wine Merchants in downtown Upland.
Dan and I went when they were booing Jeff's band off stage, Jeffrey and the Sargents.
Oh, God. But you can have delicious wines from all over the world and local craft beer, too. That's Pacific Wine Merchants and Cigar Exchange
Yum.
in downtown Upland.
And
Wait a
Now,
those
back to our
don't-
program.
Crafts and a delicious craft beer as
and
well.
delicious water as well.
And delicious
San
water,
Pellegrino.
mineral water for those of us who don't indulge like Dan the Man, producer Rob.
And any of our listeners out there would like to call up and ask Michelle Arthur any question.
She's taking all comers, boys. She's ready. She's tensed
That's
up for action.
909 360 8330. I could say that again. That's 909 360 8330 at Chaotic Radio.
Yeah, and if I don't hang up on you, you're going to be very lucky.
Yes.
The charming Michelle Arthur will take any
Michelle.
question.
Michelle Arthur is in the house. Hi, Michelle.
Hello, hello.
A pleasure, dear lady.
Back
Thank
to the interview.
Back to the interview.
Back to the interview.
Sorry for that important message to our
Sorry
sponsors.
for our commercial break.
A shout out. Nothing happens
I
for free
think
anymore.
you triggered something. Somebody triggered something. Was that you, Michelle?
Yeah, must
Yeah.
have been.
It was Dutchy when he came in here.
Oh. Good morning, Dutchy.
Morning, Dutchy. He quietly
Hey there, mate. How you doing, Dutchy?
Oh, yeah. Folks, you want to hear about the Loch Ness Monster?
Dutchy, have you ever seen the Loch Ness Monster?
Oh, you have. And it was thick as pea soup.
I don't think he finds this the least bit amusing.
Fuck you.
Dutchy, such language.
Oh. Okay, let's get back to Michelle. Okay.
Yes, by the way, an enjoyable journey. Talk to us, Blondie. What have you been up to lately?
So, are you back here? Do you live out in L.A. or where do you live?
I'm based here.
Based here? That's good.
I'm just back home visiting for a little bit over the holidays and so forth, and just getting back into.
Do
the new
you come
year.
from a big family? You got brothers and sisters?
Oh, small, very small. Yeah.
Firstborn or youngest?
I'm the firstborn. Yeah, it does make a difference. I
It
think, in
does.
the
It
way
does. You're
we-
the alpha
Yes.
female in the family. That's why they
Right.
worry about you so much.
You said it. Yeah, they're very different. They're happy back there. They would never fly to Europe. They would never move to California. Too much traffic. But for me, I'm like the day after graduation. Get me out of here. I'm ready.
once you get out of that wind chill factor, you know what I mean? I
Right.
mean,
Yeah. I moved to New York immediately though, so I embraced more winter storm.
why would
once
you
I
do
got
that to
there.
yourself?
I know. Well, at the time, it made sense. But I'm a California girl. I really like it out here much better.
I wrote for a couple magazines out of New York, and I was researching a book, so I went back to Martha's Vineyard, and I did a road trip. And New York is amazing. I mean, I spent 72 hours in New York, and it's amazing, amazing, amazing. But, you know, I don't want to be in the weather. I want to be out here where it's sunny and warm and coffee's delicious. You know,
Yeah.
it just at a certain point, you'll meet people who, oh, New York, you must go to New York. Yeah, it's cool. It's worth a look, but I wouldn't want to live there.
Right.
You can't go barefoot in New York unless you go to Central Park. You know.
Yeah, the greenery out here is so nice. The ocean and the vibe, the business is here more so, I feel. I mean, they're doing some acting in LA or in New York. I mean, films are being made there all the time, but
I just
feel
got a
like this is
text from
our place.
Michelle that said, "See you soon." That's how ghetto my phone is. Your message just came through from 5:30.
So those listeners out there, they're probably backlogged because they're waiting to come through. Right?
Yeah, our ghetto phone system here.
Right.
But the exciting thing is, I mean, you're out here. When you went back home, was everyone wanting to hear about California or?
You know, they're so engrossed in their own lives, you know, and it's so, what they tell me is that they don't, a lot of them, I mean, everyone's different, but that they don't understand the business, so they don't even really know what to ask.
Right,
And-
right.
But I do have my little fan club back there that cheers me on, and if it weren't for their support, I don't know what I would do.
That's really nice. That's really
Yeah.
charming.
It's really helpful to have a group that backs you and what wants to see you win, you know, wants to see you make it through. So, you know, I didn't realize how difficult it was to produce a film, and I'm doing this Fate's Shadow. So
And this is with Kat Kramer.
it is, and Marie Lawrence in this, Jeff Vernon, who I've worked with on Crazy Lucky and The Gilded Boy. I'm in that. We just filmed. That's wrapped. He has to film one more scene, and then we're wrapped with The Gilded Boy. And then Marie just put me on The Uncanny, a film she's working on with her daughter. And
Is that sci-fi or horror?
it's going to be a drama, and it's going to be very artsy. As the French teacher, will have an artsy feel to it too. Vagabonds is getting ready to come out at Mammoth at the film festival there. It's first
Are you
ever in
gonna go?
February. I have to be back out here. Yeah, I have to. Yeah, be here, and I want to go to that festival for sure and see it at the premiere.
That's one of the places they think would blow if there's a volcano. There's supposedly volcanic activity under Mammoth. So be warned.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll bring my set of skis, and then I'll be ready. So when the world blows up, I can just jump off the cliff with my skis on and ski down.
And you put that under special skills in your resume.
I do. I have skiing, water skiing. I can do a drinking straw trick.
Can you?
Yeah, I have to
What?
show it to you guys.
We would like to see it.
Yeah, it's so easy, but for me, but it takes a little skill.
Impressive.
So
So what puts the time limit when you do a short film? What's the time? Does that mean like under an hour or
40 minutes,
40
30 minutes?
I think it takes 15 minutes. They're
Between
looking at
15 minutes to
0 to 15 for short. Yeah, to get it into the right festivals, and they like it shorter than longer, than right at that cutoff. So we're gonna shoot Fate's Shadow as a feature and cut a short from it. It was initially going to be
short from the feature. I get it.
It was going to be just a short because it was what I wanted to start with. But the story really lends itself to. It really needs that arena to tell the story right.
Wow.
So that's taking a lot more time. I wrote that as an anthology in 2004.
Did you really? Wow.
Yeah. And I didn't realize it would be a movie. At the time, I just had this creative writing to do. And then I took it to a literary agent, though, and asked for her opinion. And she said, definitely do something with this, but put it away.
It stinks.
Yeah. She liked it. She said it had an after effect for her and that it has potential. So,
And 14 years later, it's now ready to go, right?
well, she said, put it away for 5 years. I put it away for 10. And I was just busy doing other things and didn't really think a whole lot about it. But then I came across the screenwriting class and some other screenwriters through Facebook, actually, where I connected, and they encouraged me to develop it. So it developed, and then I really took off with it in 2015, 2016, when it got registered with the WGA.
Nice.
And now it's fully cast. We only have one casting position open. And
I'll take it.
okay.
I will play Grandma Mima.
Just
well,
like
let's
that.
see. Did you just sneak your headshot into her folder?
I did.
Yeah.
She'll find it on the way home. The hell is this?
So many really talented people come to me and they want to be in it, but there are only so many speaking parts. And so
It's me, Alec Baldwin.
yeah.
I came back
circled
to coach.
He was hiding on that plane ride. he was in the back. Right?
I'm ready to perform Grandma Mima.
I'm going to be way in the background, and I promise I won't look in the camera when I walk by.
Right. It's interesting being, you can write something, and you write it because as a writer, that's the story you want told as is. And then when you put on that producer hat and you realize, well, it has to be at this location for this person's reason, or it needs to be shot at this time for this reason, budget, time, all takes precedence. And so the story changes because you have to get it made, and you have only so many resources or so many considerations, politics or money or mostly time, and how you're putting it together. So that changes the story some.
How long do you think it'll take to get made? I mean, once you start shooting it, how long will what have you budgeted the short for? Would it be a week, 2 weeks?
No, it's gonna be shot over the course of this year. So I was planning to do more shooting last year and got delayed. So it's going to be shooting this year more. We've already shot the opener shot in the first scene, in one of the scenes, not the first scene, one of the scenes that will be dropped in. So it's going to come in pieces and stages. That's the way I have to do it. Most people just start, finish, 40 days, it's out, whatever it takes, and then it's done. But I'm on the newer side, so it's going to take longer.
That'll be exciting. Are you looking forward to it?
Oh yeah, I've put my heart and soul into it. It's my baby. I have all these other projects going on.
But this is yours. You gave birth to this.
Right. Mm-hmm. And when it's yours, you're responsible. I'm responsible for seeing these. I want to be able to see these people do their performances, and act it out. And it means a lot to me. So it will get made. It's just taking a little bit longer.
Will it be intimidating when, because what happens when the writer's on set, everyone decides to start beating up on the dialogue and everything. Are you worried about that at all? Because if you appear as an actress in it, they can go right to you to fix their lines.
Right. That's happened, actually, to the benefit of the script. Like I had...
Oh, don't pretend some mook was messing with your dialogue is fixing your script.
you know, like I had it written one way, for example, and then it seemed natural, and so I would add in a little bit for that actress or change it a little bit for that actor because it didn't make sense. You know, I value their contributions. Of course, they want more lines.
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
you know, I'm open to it as long as it works for the script.
Wow, as long as they're not line counting. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as we're not drowning.
Wow. Interesting.
So it's been, you know, something that keeps the momentum's there. It just keeps, even when there have been times when I wanted to give up on it and something will happen in the universe that brings it right back front
Isn't
and
that
center.
great when a project just sails back in your life like that? You know?
Right.
And it wasn't you doing it. It wasn't you actively trying to bring it back, which is exciting.
Right. The universe wants to see this made, I think, because
Right.
it has some strong messages.
Too bad the universe doesn't have any money.
Good point.
Yeah.
Are you afraid of putting all this effort into a movie and just because of funding and just politics having it wind up on a shelf and nobody gets to see it? I've heard that before from actors and actresses.
You know, we've produced 2 teasers already. So, like, if I would, you know, kick the bucket tomorrow, at least,
God forbid.
God forbid,
Yeah.
but at least part of my message is in those 2 teasers and out for the world to hear. So I've done that, and hopefully my team would take off with this and still see it through. But if only one person saw it, I would be pleased because it got made. And it's a
Not
story
me if
that
I
I
were an
want told.
investor. One person. Damn it.
Well, let's just add a few zeros. To
Yeah,
that.
sure, that thing. I worked in a low budget horror movie, and they're now getting around to putting it out. You know what I mean? And it's like, you know, you guys, instead of just having these quiet screenings, let's just start group screenings. You know, so people can spread the word.
Great idea.
You know, and they're like, well, we just want a small screening, and it's.
Oh, I'm all for Big Bang.
Yeah,
I'm all for
all or nothing. Go big or go home, I say.
Yeah, and
You
the
know?
publicity opportunities are starting to come. I haven't even really tried to get the word out there about it other than producing my teasers. I mean, we're not there yet, and yet the world keeps coming to me with these opportunities to talk about it. So
So are you looking at like a motion picture or like a Netflix or you know, a YouTube? What are you looking at?
I would love for that to be in the picture. I would love for this to go as big as possible. you
Right,
know?
right. I
Where's
mean,
Walt Disney?
he's been dead for 50 years, but hey.
Oh yeah, Harvey Weinstein.
Oh, yeah.
He's not around. Oh yeah, and he's not around.
He's going to meet you at Brent Ratner's house.
Yeah, he'll be on the couch.
No, it would be fabulous if Sony could work with me on this, or you know, a huge producer. I'd love it. I would love nothing better. You know, I've got an international dancer on this.
An international dancer.
Yeah. Maxim Leonov. I've got Justice Jocelyn. He's an international model and actor, and you've seen his face. Everyone knows his face. He's a beautiful man, and he's our second lead. He plays Helio. So there's some key people in it. There's no reason why it shouldn't go big, and the story's unique.
Are you? By the way, are you keeping the storyline secret, or can you give us the log line?
I want to keep it secret.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
because I'm so paranoid about someone.
No,
taking
hey,
the idea.
it's well justified.
happens.
It
Okay.
happens.
Right.
There's no coincidence.
So if it went to Netflix, is that considered a failure or a success?
Huge success. If Netflix picked this up, yeah. If this goes anywhere besides my mom's couch, yeah.
Your mom, I'm guessing, is the primary investor.
No.
Honey, we mortgaged the house.
I mean, I love all these networks. I like the HBO. I like the Amazon Prime. I like Hulu.
I love.
Yeah.
Remember,
I like Hulu.
I love Netflix. Netflix gets a bad rap, and there are some reasons. Like I've had stuff that's shown on Netflix, and it kind of kills your residuals because Netflix underpays. So you'll get like my residuals on like a couple things. I won't name them, but my residuals on like the Rundown or Beethoven, they've shrunk because they're on Netflix, because they run them anytime you want to watch them, which is great. But they make their own movies. They just made a $90 million Will Smith movie. They're real. They're legit.
I dig Netflix.
I love Netflix, and I tell people who, that was one of their arguments. They shrunk residuals and all that. I just tell them, shut up. I mean, you've got a channel. You'll watch a movie on Netflix, and Netflix will come to you a day later and offer you movies like the movie you watched, and some of them are pretty damn good.
Right. I mean, Alison Brie was just nominated for a Golden Globe. She was there last night. And, what more do you want? You're recognized at a major awards ceremony like that. Glow was on Netflix.
Yes.
The point is,
Glow is charming.
If you have a platform, that's all that matters. If you have an audience.
And not only that, an audience that's willing, and I notice Netflix, a lot of them are serious movie buffs. And what I love about it is, if they offer you some weird, obscure 1970s horror movie, they'll find 12 more just like it, which I just love. I mean,
opportunity.
Well, they categorize it and fit them all together. Like, if you like this, you'll like this one and this one.
I'm ashamed that I have a list. I have a Netflix queue, as they call it. The movies you've stacked up. But I spend most of my time watching their recommendations. I mean, the recommendations are great.
They've nailed it for you.
They have, and I mean,
It's like they do it just for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, they did this just for me because this. Wow.
It's like a Subway sandwich of TV shows.
Yes,
movies.
they put everything, the salt and pepper, the way I like it, and they put the.
They know we want that avocado.
They want.
Yeah, they know anchovies were okay with me.
Vinegar and oil.
Yeah, I mean everything. Even the stuff that'll make you fart.
Dijonnaise.
But like I watched Mindhunters, which I thought was terrific, the David Fincher series. And ever since then, they've been offering me all sorts of serial killer documentaries. They keep offering me a biography on Edmund Kemper, the 7-foot guy who murdered all these Coens in the 70s.
Oh, no.
But it's interesting because out of all those, they'll offer you some movies, they'll offer you a documentary. I love that it anticipates what you want to watch,
Right.
And that could happen with your film, Michelle, because they'll say, oh, if you like this film, and then yours could be mixed up with all these other wonderful films that people will like and bring all attention. It's just
right,
all
the categories.
good.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Like tagging a teaser when you put it out on YouTube, like I've done for mine. Then I'm tagging the ballet people are going to love it for the dance, and the musicians are going to love it for the music that's in it, original from Jeffrey Jocelyn, for example, one of our musicians and singers who's in this, and his brother Justice, who's also in it, plays the guitar. And if you're into past life or learning more about
you're
that,
going spacey on us.
it does. Well, it does touch on that. So
I'm joking.
Those people, that's a whole audience in itself.
Yeah, by the way, but it's little fiefdoms of an audience, and they bring them together for a great big audience. I mean,
Right.
I think Ted Sarandos and Netflix, I think there's nothing like it. It's cheaper than cable. It's better than cable. And it's like cable, again, you can watch the movie anytime you want, which I love that. I'm a night person, because I'm still doing the magazine work. A lot of English magazines are still going strong. So I'm usually running at 3 a.m. because they can contact me. I'm up, you know what I mean?
That's fabulous.
And if there's something on Netflix, I will just get into it. I liked Bright. I thought the Will Smith movie was pretty good. And it was Alienation meets Training Day, but I liked it.
Right, he's fabulous. I was hoping.
Go ahead. Have you seen it yet?
No, I have not seen that one, but I had my fingers crossed for Roman J. Israel and Denzel Washington last night.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
it did. Did it win or did it not win? No, it didn't win. Okay.
No, but that was the 5th one I was in that was nominated, or as far as a project.
They couldn't
being
give away
nominated.
screening passes fast enough for that. It went right to the floor, unfortunately. I don't think they advertised it enough, and it was one of those quirky movies that just didn't find a home.
Right.
But once it hits Netflix, anyone can watch it at any time.
Exactly. I think he's been busy with other projects, and so maybe he was just coming off of all of that, and his heart and soul wasn't into this one as much. But I think he did a great job.
Well, he was pimping it pretty hard. I mean, I'll give him credit that he was pushing it really hard, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? I just think it was too quirky.
Okay. Yeah.
Some of these period pieces. I mean, I haven't seen it. I'm just going by the commercials.
Oh, okay.
And it looked like True Believers, this really great Robert Downey movie nobody saw years ago, but you know.
We blocked off a whole section of downtown LA. I'm sure the traffic loved us for that, you know. And he was there that day. He had lunch with us. So that was really memorable.
Wow.
You know, even though he didn't win the award last night, it was just great to have that experience with Denzel.
What did he say? What did he say to you guys that made a difference? What impressed you when he talked to you guys?
He was having lunch with his little entourage, you know, under the tents with us, but I didn't hear him speak. I didn't speak to him exactly.
Did you reach down and touch the hem of his garment?
There's that osmosis factor. You always wonder, is something going to brush off here? I learn a lot from these sets, no matter, you know, how in-depth the conversation goes. Tom Ellis and I had a nice chat when I was on his project, Lucifer.
Wow. Oh, yeah, you
So-
were on Lucifer. Talk about that. Did you like the
Yeah.
series? Or
Oh, yeah, he's great. Yeah, I was in the hair and makeup trailer and getting myself done, and he needed to use the same hairstylist. Or, he was up next to sit in my seat. So
and you refused to get up.
you're going to have to wait. Lucifer can wait.
F you, Lucifer.
And then, no, he was just so charming. And I worked on 3 episodes of that, actually.
Wow, nice.
So, just being on set with these types of shows that are doing well, helps me with my more the independent projects I'm doing. So I've got both. Someone last night asked me, "Oh, do you do just independents?" Well, I don't think anyone in this business does just one thing. You know?
No. Not if you want to last in any period of time.
Right.
So Michelle, what came first, the modeling or the acting?
Well, because I had a magazine career before I got into the filmmaking. The modeling came first because I did a little bit of that with the magazines. You know, like when I was at Cosmo, they needed someone for this one article, so they pulled me in for that. Same with Indianapolis Monthly.
You also are a gymnast. You started that. Of course, you always start at a young age.
Right.
I see that black and white picture. It looks like, is that in high school there?
It was high school. I'm probably
my gosh, you're on the uneven bars, on the parallel bar, on the uneven parallel bars. Wow, most valuable player 2 years in a row.
Yeah.
And that's some dangerous stuff, man. Doing those parallel bars and doing flipping and landing.
I love that. I wanted to dance too when I was a kid, and I didn't get to do too much of that. I did a few classes in college, but when we started a gymnastics club my freshman year, I immediately joined and got my feet wet in that. And then our club became a team my sophomore year, and that team we had. I was in gymnastics all 4 years.
Wow.
But I was the first girl from my high school to win the sectional and go on to this finals. They skipped the regionals because there weren't enough winners or activities or enough schools participating, so it went straight to finals, the state.
You could do the handsprings. I love handsprings.
Did you do a handspring?
I did all of that back then. Hell, I wish I could do it now. I don't think I can do all of
That'd
that.
be
You could do your own stunts, huh?
That would be hell of a meeting with Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
That
Do
probably.
the handspring.
Well, I was hesitant to put that on my IMDb because it
They'll
was
ask you
back
to do it.
then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you do that flip? Not today, but it's in me. I did it back then.
You think special abilities are BS until they ask you to do them and you can do them. I mean, I do like this 4-legged dog run that I've done in commercials. I've done it in music videos. I've done it in horror movies. I mean, it's one of those things that it's on the resume, but every now and then your agent will call and ask for you to do you know what I mean? I mean, it's a weird, stupid superpower, but when they want it, it's great to be able to bust it out,
Right. Or maybe not just that particular move, but the fact that you were an athlete or that you were involved in that kind of work means that you have that drive. Or
You can do stage combat, that sort of thing, you know.
that you're open to that. I did some tandem parachuting just once, but I put that on my IMDb as well.
What the hell? Yeah, There's
I
always,
don't want to be strapped to anybody. When I jump out of the plane, I want to be by myself.
Oh my God, I need a man.
Oh, wow.
I got a text here from a guy named Alan in San Diego. I think I know who he is. but I'm
Hey,
not
Alan
sure.
from San Diego. How you
He
doing?
wants to know, you're multi-talented. Do you sing as well?
What was the question?
Do you sing as well? Because you're
Um,
multi-talented.
I'm tone deaf. I can't sing.
Dance and sing.
I cannot sing. That's one thing I cannot do.
So you've never done a musical.
And
Have you
nor-
danced in a musical?
I can dance. Yeah.
But you can't sing.
I can't sing. I can dance, but I can't sing.
Oh.
Oh, you got a great voice.
Well, now
Thank
with today's
you.
filmmaking, we could make you a singer, yes.
Right.
We
Yes,
could dub you with anybody's beautiful voice.
it's amazing what they can do. Yesterday, the other day, we were filming Crazy Lucky, and it's a coffee shop scene. So they're dropping in the clanking of the glasses and the coffee shop noise. The only people in the room, the cinematographer, the producer, the director, and me, and the producer director is one person, and then
Wow.
me and the guy I play opposite. So there are 4 people in the room, and yet they're dropping in all of the sound as if there are 30 people in the room.
That's another thing because you walk. I didn't even think about that. You do have the background ambience that's kind of necessary. You know, the teacup, the cups, everything going on, but it's always quiet on the set.
Right.
Let's fill it in.
Right.
Fill it in with with all that magic.
Right. So yeah, I like juggling different projects and being part of films that need or require different aspects or different skills. But singing's not one of them.
Oh.
So next.
Good, because I want you in my music video. What? All you got to do is lip sync.
And bring the leather pants.
And those leather pants. Do you still have those leather pants?
Oh, I wish. No, I don't. Yeah.
Okay,
They
well,
were
we'll-
size 2.
Well, we could go find you a new pair. What are you doing Saturday?
This is
Yeah,
what's
there's a mall right down the street. I'm sure
this
you
is
can
what's
find
called
it.
the direct approach.
They were black though, and I'm wearing all black today. I guess.
You are? Hubba hubba. Oh, unless it's for what yesterday's for.
Well, yeah, they were in all black yesterday.
I got
as
leather.
was.
I got leather biker pants, but it's got to be cold out to wear those. Man.
Some poor actress wore a red dress yesterday and then beating the hell out of her all day
Dude.
online. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Talking red. Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. People are staring at that one. I
But
guess-
she was the only red dress there, which made her stand out. So they're bashing her probably because she's getting so much attention.
because that was probably her purpose. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? Each to their own.
There you go.
Right.
Said the cat that ate the cream, as my mom used to say.
Yeah. I don't know. Meryl Streep was in black. I decided I'm wearing black. She's wearing black. I'm wearing black.
Yeah, but she also called Harvey Weinstein a god. So let's not follow her too close.
Usually Mondays are blue, right? Where does that come from? Why is it always Blue Monday? Why?
Blue Pat's Domino, man.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Ah.
Because remember, you get paid on Friday. So Monday, there's nothing coming in. You're going to work. That's the way I've always heard it explained.
Because also when she wore blue velvet, she wore blue velvet.
That's the Polish
Now, I can't
prince.
say if they said black velvet, that would kind of sound sinister and
Or
dark.
like booze.
wouldn't it?
Yeah.
So 90210, you're on the setup. What name another crazy 90s show you were on?
Yeah, let's hear some 90s stories.
Oh gosh. I was on Tomcats. You would
Wow,
love that.
Tom Getz.
Yeah.
With the future Lex Luthor, Michael Rosenbaum. It was also Jerry
O'Donnell.
Yeah, very good.
Right. Yeah.
Oh,
was
Jerry
wild.
O'Donnell or Jerry
O'Connell,
O'Connell?
O'Connell.
Jerry O'Connell, yeah.
You know what?
Right.
I was on a set with him. I was covering it for Fangoria. It was called Room 9, about a haunted hospital. They're shooting at Linda Vista, the haunted hospital.
Oh
And I'm looking, and there's these 5 hot chicks, and they're kneeling before some guy, and he's going, when I got to the studio, and these girls are just listening rapturously, and I look over, and it's a demon. A demon is talking in full makeup with
Oh, wow.
you know, the witch's nose, the pointy chin, and all that. And I go, what did you do at the studio? And I guess it was Jerry O'Connell under like 5 pounds of latex.
Oh, wow.
Ah.
How cool is that?
Every girl on that set followed him around for the 2 days I covered the damn thing. They followed him wherever he went.
was this in the 90s?
No, this is the 2000s, but it was
Right, late
Jerry
night.
I have
O'Connell.
one
Yeah.
question. This person, I don't know who it is, but it's 818 area code, so it's got to be somebody in L.A. or
Alec
the
Baldwin.
Valley. It could be Alec
And
Baldwin.
Matt
golf and the plane.
Damon.
But who most influenced you to be an actress? What actress do you aspire to be?
Oh, great question. Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, so you want to
Wow.
die? Death wish.
Well, she inspired me because.
Want some pills? I can get you some.
No.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, I'll get you the black velvet to wash it down with.
No, I have some things in common with her. I mean, not the. I put my foot in my mouth.
You like to have sex with Kennedys?
No. No, there's just some strange coincidences with her. But I guess when I was growing up, that was the name that kept circling around me. And, you know, she's gone and she has her legend. So this day and age, it would be Meryl Streep. But back then, it would be Marilyn Monroe. So I've changed my views. But, yeah, it's kind of nice when you have these role models.
Your thoughts on Jessica Lange? I love her.
Oh, wonderful to work with her. She was there that day we filmed. And on Feud Betty and Joan, my job, there were 250.
Who played Joan, by the way?
Susan Sarandon.
Oh, wow. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
and they were nominated for Golden Globes. But the scene I was in, everyone's sitting down at the tables. It's the Golden Globes 1961 in this feud scene. And I play an actress who's just walking to the ladies' room. So I'm, moving from the front of the room to the back. And I have to go right past Marilyn Monroe, their version, which is Alicia Chopra. And it's that moment, where I'm reliving that time for Marilyn Monroe. And the fact that, I don't know, she was born, she died the day before I was born. Not to talk about years, but just August 5th, August 6th. And
Also, a little thing called Hiroshima.
yeah, so.
Also happened on August 6th.
Right. Yeah. Just the fact that she had her childhood struggles and she still made a name for herself. But the fact that I got to work on that set was kind of neat.
Thank you, Dan.
You're the man, Dan.
Thank you. I am so thirsty.
She's going to
Awesome.
mix it with her scotch.
I brought in some
She's a total
coffee.
actress.
I need it after last night.
After Marilyn Monroe, she just put some pills into her scotch and she's stirring it with the geyser water.
No. I don't-
How old would Marilyn be today if she was alive?
Oh, let's not talk about
Yeah,
years.
you don't do that for the actresses. What the hell?
Well, I just
tell
saw.
this. Hold on, I tell this idiot this all the time. He'll go to an actress. How old are you?
I never say
Yes,
that.
you have. When were
No,
you
I
born?
don't.
We don't do that. I have a SAG card. I know actresses are sacrosanct. So let me.
It
ask,
doesn't take long to figure out the math. How
Give me,
old
give me another story about Tomcats. Were you in any of the hospital scenes, or were you?
I was in the wedding scene.
Ah.
So that was decent. Everyone's dressed properly, and there are a lot of sex scenes in that film. So
Really?
it was, my scene was innocent. Everyone's pure, but just hysterical. I love the comedies. You have so much more fun.
Wow.
LA to Vegas was a blast.
Oh yeah, you worked
Love
on it. How
that.
was that? The
Love
trailers look
that.
great.
Yeah, I'm in the trailer.
Wow. What'd
Yeah.
you?
I've seen you got. Is that on here?
I haven't. It just came out, but
Oh.
that's, I was doing so much all at once, and so I'm kind of
That's a
just
good problem to have.
now watching a lot of this footage.
It's
Some
hard
of
to
it
keep
took place
up on all
months ago. Well, I just I'm trying to do more of the speaking parts, and that I didn't have a speaking part, so I'll definitely get some photos up.
You
though.
gotta pay your dues. You know what I mean?
Right. Exactly. Yeah, I'm excited about the speaking part in the Uncanny coming up, and that's going to be more serious. But working with Dylan McDermott and Peter
Ah.
Stromar, those funny guys. Talk about funny guys.
Stromar is interesting. He's the voice of Dracula in Batman Meets Dracula, by the way. He's also the guy who goes nuts, if memory serves. He's the Russian who goes nuts in the space station at Armageddon, which is turning 20 this year.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
And I think he did Seinfeld as well, I want to say.
I'd have to look at his list, but he's up there. He's done a lot, and he interacted well with Dylan. They have a good scene there. I was in the premiere, and we worked on.
Who
2
directed
and
the
3.
premiere, by the way? Who directed the pilot?
Stephen Leviton.
Wow, you're in good company there.
Yeah. I really liked the way he directed. There were a couple of shots where everyone was speaking way too fast, and I recognized that immediately. And so I was just waiting for it because I knew he would say something, and he didn't. The way he said it, the way he approached his people, he really is a good manager of the set and gentle with everyone. And we got what they needed, and everyone slowed down. But I just loved his approach.
When I first got my SAG card, that was the sweet spot. Everyone wanted an airplane show or movie because they knew they'd work multiple days.
Oh yeah.
So everybody, you'd always meet the old timer who was in Die Hard 2 or something and was on an airplane for 6 months. And it's like, and that was always the sweet spot to get on. Did you shoot it at Universal?
We shot in 2 places, San Bernardino. So I was out here
Really?
for
At the
that.
old airport.
Right.
So you were at Ontario Airport over here.
Right.
Old Ontario Airport, which is Old Ontario, because we have 21st century New Ontario Airport.
Okay.
But they used the vintage airport in the back. They used it for 24. They used it as an old-time airport on Mad Men.
It's so dated. It's a great place to film.
Yeah, no, when I drive by there, I always see those Star vans.
They
or
shoot there all
whatever.
the time. Those are called Star Wagons.
Star
Star
wagons.
Wagons,
Okay.
yeah.
And Star Wagons, this is kind of a great idea. Star Wagons were started by a classic TV actor named Lyle Wagner, who was on the Carl Burnett show when he was Steve Trevor on Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
And he was sitting in his trailer on Wonder Woman thinking how shitty it was, pardon my French, how crappy the trailer was, how uneven. And he thought, I'm going to make a trailer the way I would like a trailer to be when I come in and just sit and be comfortable. And he became a multi-millionaire from Star Wagons. He started it after Wonder Woman went off the air, and he became excruciatingly wealthy. I mean, just hugely
I had
wealthy.
no idea it was an actor behind it.
Yeah, a very smart actor, Lyle Wagner.
Right.
Because
You
the
see
Star
them
Wagons
everywhere.
are cool. I mean, they got they make them level with the poles that go down and
When I did my first Coca-Cola commercial, I had a Star Wagon, and I knew I literally called my dad, I called my brothers, and I was like, I got a Star Wagon.
I had a Star Wagon when I did Criminal Minds, yeah. And it was nice, a closet and a bathroom and the mirror, and I could hang up my suit.
No, it was Star Wagons are great, and God bless Lyle Wagner, man.
Yeah, that was
They're just, but usually when you do a commercial, because you're going to be in and out, they usually give you one of these protocol holes in a bigger trailer.
Right.
And it's like,
usually not
well,
that.
it's still my own room,
Right.
but a Star Wagon, man, when you have a Star Wagon, you just feel, yes. It's
the
like
Star
You made
Wagons
space.
at the Ontario Airport.
when they give you, it's like when you're on location and they give you per diem. You really feel like you made it. You know what I mean?
Something extra.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, I remember in Lone Pine, we were shooting something in Lone Pine, and it just they give you you're stuffed like a turkey from being on set all day, eating like a king, and then they give you $300 to blow in town. It's like, what am I going to do with this? I'm just going to sit on.
So the craft services is really funny when they mention them in award ceremonies. You hear some of the actors, they thank their directors, their producers, and craft services.
Yes, craft
But you know what?
services.
You know what, Crafty? I did a great. I love Crafty. I did a great one-season show. I was the monster of the week in a bunch of episodes of. You wouldn't recognize. I was always a horrible monster trying to eat somebody, but it was Death Valley on MTV, and I love Mario's Catering. Mario's Catering did it. Mario's is great, and the first guy that gave the crew shirt to me for Mario was from Mario himself.
Wow.
You know what I mean? He comes up. And I'm washing all the gunk off. I'm getting all the latex off. And Mario goes, we wanted you to have this because you enjoy our food.
How cool is
And I
that?
love that damn shirt. And the hilarious thing is, I wore it to Monster Palooza, and I must have run into every crew person from Death Valley because they saw the shirt.
Saw the shirt, Mario.
You know, and it was a one season wonder, but I was just so happy that the food was so good. And
Oh, I know, always.
and
on
they
these
shot
sets.
in Sunland. They had this. There was this cool little studio. It's about a block from my brother's house. So the night before all my episodes, I just crash at my brother and his wife, the wonderful Robin Pierce Jankowitz. I would crash at their place, you know, have breakfast with my nephews and all that, and then just cruise on over a block away to do this horror movie TV series. And it was on a cul-de-sac. The studio was a tiny little thing on a cul-de-sac.
Interesting.
And you would literally, it would play a street because it was an industrial street, but they never had to block anything off. It was all this one cul-de-sac little town, and depending where you put the camera, it was a small town, it was a police station, it was a city
right.
street.
Oh, cool.
And I mean, they're shooting it's behind a gate, so it's literally self-contained, but it's much cheaper than renting out or, you know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, on LA to Vegas, it was the studio. We were at Fox, and then we were out here at San Bernardino.
By the way, cha-ching, you're out of the 30-mile zone.
How
Yeah.
many different airports did they use? They used Ontario, right? The old part, and then
Probably everything
No,
in
it was-
Ontario.
It was just the San Bernardino.
Oh.
Maybe I misspoke.
to
Yeah,
even
Oh,
the
it
Vegas
wasn't- it
parts,
wasn't-
they were.
Was it Ontario Airport? Or did you go further out in the desert?
no, it was just there. So we just shot. We shot 3 episodes, and it was just
Back
in
to
those
back to
2
back.
places.
That's great.
Yeah.
It sounds like they hit the ground running.
But all of the work that I was involved with was just in the first episode, which just came out January 2nd. So
Wow.
that's
Good
done.
luck to them.
Yeah, that's a wrap. But
Yeah.
it's great to get out to these different locations, like you said.
And it's exciting because some of them, I remember when I first got my SAG card, I went to Pyru. And, you know, and you're just happy to be working and you'll say
Where's
yes to
that?
anything. Pyru was way the F up the coast.
I've never heard of it.
It's my friend Dan Lake, who writes commercial jingles. He was
Okay.
on the set with me. He said, Pat, it's on the corner of White and Trash. And it was
Where?
it was pouring rain in Pyro. And there
Oh.
was you were driving along.
How long does it take to get there?
It took effing forever. And we're
Yeah.
driving along. I'm driving along by myself up the, you know, not, it feels like up the coast, probably past
Forever.
Calabasas.
Right.
So you're driving up there, and on your way up, you get to Pyro, and it's pouring rain, and they want to get like 2 shots, and it turned out I was there on an infamous day, and because they're going to get a shot, and this little Asian guy runs out of his house. It's pouring rain. They're shooting despite the rain, and this little Asian dude. And the reason I remember this so well is because it just seemed so rude. And they arrested this guy, and it made the cover of the calendar section in the LA Times. Oh, my God. He ran out with a chainsaw, even though it was pouring rain.
Oh my.
He started the chainsaw
Oh,
and held it
my.
above his head
Oh my God.
just so he would F up the soundtrack so they would buy him off. And it worked.
That's the story.
It would work because every time he'd go back in the house when they yelled cut, then he'd run right back out, start the chainsaw again. And they finally sent a PA over and they had to give him money. He was holding them up for money. But they had him arrested, you know, because they had all their permits in order. It was pouring rain. He wasn't cutting the tree. Everyone could see he was just starting it to F with the production for money.
Yeah.
So they arrested his ass. I mean, but this is a big Hollywood production. You should be grateful they're not in Louisiana. And they're here. They're not in Canada. They're not in Louisiana. And in Pyro is just a terrible little place. And he kept running out with the chainsaw. I'd never seen anything like it. You know?
Yeah, scary. I remember hearing a story about one set. I wasn't on it. I can't remember the name of it. But the guy, they had him standing in freezing water, and they were just trying to get the right angle. You know,
Oh, man.
I think he got hypothermia. But you do put yourself at risk. Actress friend of mine was on a mountain, and they wanted her to ski down this really steep hill or mountain, you know, to get this shot. And
Hey, she put
was
special
risking her
skills
life.
on there. F her.
Yeah. Hey,
If you
on
put
there.
high mountain skiing on there to impress them, they're going to call you on it.
Yeah.
No actor or actress I've ever met can ride a horse, by the way. It's on everyone's special skills.
Like, how well can you ride?
Yeah,
that horse?
they're going to head for the Griffith Park Pony Mill as soon as they get the part.
Yeah, well, filming in San Bernardino is pretty dangerous itself. That's the crime capital of the world.
And not only crane capital, but if you're shooting in the mountains, I had to do a full body cast for a movie last year. And I would drive, I kept all my appointments in the morning because the effects guy lived on top of a mountain. And I'm driving into Arrowhead, and the morning mist is terrifying. You're on a cliff, and then there's a giant fog blocking your way in.
Yeah.
And I'm like, thank Christ it's not at night, because that would be even worse. It was just the only good thing is when you got to the bottom of this harrowing 2-lane mountain road, there was, out of the mist, out of the fog, there was a Del Taco. That was the only thing that was. I thought, oh my God, I survived. I'm going to stop for Del Taco. Half pound bean and cheese.
I think you're a foodie. I've got
I
you
am a
figured
total
out.
foodie, baby.
So your mom
foodie.
was a good cook, right?
She was a great cook. She had 5 kids.
That's why we love the craft services, the one that pull up in the food trucks and they cook it right for you.
I love, you know,
I love those.
breakfast burritos on a movie set are the best breakfast burritos you will ever have. And I remember 5 a.m., any set you do an all-nighter on, the first thing you get before you hit the car is a breakfast burrito.
Right.
I like when they do the omelet and they got the guys there
Yeah.
and they customize your
Anything you
omelet and
Yeah.
that's what I like.
I love that they'll take all comers. They'll ask they'll ask you whatever you want, no matter how obtuse, how weird, how specialized. It'll be ready in seconds.
Yeah,
You
they're
know?
really good. I've never had a bad crafty.
Best
Except
hash browns. Best. Oh, you were gonna say what was the bad craft you had?
one independent film. I arrived and there was nothing but some coffee and bread. You know, bagels, I guess.
I
Can
guess.
can I just
Listen
have
to
some
little Miss
coffee?
Blue Blood running down bagels. That's her. That's her, not us, Jamal. We love bagels here. And our sponsors. Go on,
Bunch of
Blondie.
stale
Sorry.
bread and mustard.
We're just effing with you.
So
Was it a woman in prison film?
No, it was just a little reality thing. And I asked just for some coffee. Oh, that's for crew. No, that's for crew. Okay. Water? So
I watched
that's it.
I watched a fat guy get fired. Big fat guy went over, got on the craft service crew truck, and helped himself to a carrot juice. And those were there for Ed Harris and Ed Harris only. And he walks up to the
trouble.
craft service guy and goes, "Why is that guy drinking my carrot juice? I want him out of here." And it was like, wow. And you saw the guy go, he points to his friends and he goes, carrot juice. Anyone who wants carrot juice? And it's like he was frog marched off the set.
Carrot, look what I found.
Yeah.
Carrot juice. Ed Harris's carrot
It's
juice.
like Ed Harris and the carrot juice are going to be there tomorrow. He was not.
That's why he really wanted it.
They literally, it was a magical set because it was amazing because you watch the famous Ed Harris flinty-eyed rage you'd seen in the million movies, but in real life directed at this poor fat guy drinking carrot juice.
It has its moments. right?
Yeah, it's hilarious. You know what I mean? I just, again, you tell anyone else, hey, you book a commercial for 3 days, and all I can think about is how great the crafty's going to be, and you know what I mean? And I love the back lot. If you have a long lunch, I love exploring back lots. I love,
I did that at Warner Brothers plenty of times.
but Warner Brothers
Yeah.
has a big back lot. But even cooler is there's the mini lot by Madame Wong's, in
Yeah.
West Hollywood. That is it's a miniature studio in itself. And you wander around and, like I ran into Joe Dante, you know what I mean? I mean, Joe Dante was in there pitching and it's just cool. You run into Joe Dante and we had coffee. It's magical,
The Universal set's magical for sure. I mean, their studio because it's so massive.
And you've seen it in everything.
All of a sudden you're in New York City in LA on
Yeah,
Universal's lot, right? How they remake these
There's
little
nothing like,
towns.
from the Incredible Hulk, Kolchak the Night Stalker, Creature from the Black Lagoon, Jaws, all the classic horror that were shot at Universal and wandering around Universal. I mean, if you go to the real, they have a fake one for tourists and guests and all that, or, VIPs. But if you go to the deep one down by stage 28, where they have the frozen ghost for Lon Chaney Jr. on the wall, that's the real backlot cafeteria at Universal.
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
And I mean, it's away from the tour, and it's just exciting,
And
Universal.
me building on sets and working in theme parks, that when you look at the tall buildings, each stage gets smaller and smaller, and by it's 3/4 set by the time of the top of the building. But when you film with the camera, it looks regular scale.
Yeah.
Well,
a three,
I'll
like
ask
here's the movie set 3-story building compared to a real 3-story building would be like up here.
I'll ask all of you guys. Anybody been to Warner Brothers Studios?
Tons of times.
Tons of
That's
times.
a great studio.
Right.
And
It's-
great food. I used to sell them their food. When I worked for U.S. Food Service.
Really?
Yeah, I sold to the.
But now, are you
cafeteria.
talking mini Warner Brothers or big Warner Brothers
the
in Burbank?
big Warner Brothers? in
Wow.
Burbank.
With the Tiny Toons water tower,
Yes.
a.k.a. the
Yeah,
Karate
yeah,
Kid
yeah.
water
That
tower.
one right there.
They painted it gray. What's hilarious is the Tiny Toons water tower, as they call it, they painted it gray for the opening of Karate Kid, where it plays New Jersey. They're on the New York street in New Jersey talking about how horrible New Jersey is in Burbank.
I never knew that.
Oh yeah. He drives them. He's bummed because they're living in Reseda, and you're watching the opening of Karate Kid where he drives from New York Street on the Burbank backlot to Reseda. Hilarious.
Speak.
They shot Lucifer there, Warner Brothers.
Ah,
That's
good
where
girl.
I met Tom Ellis.
Wow.
Speaking of commercials, while we're still on
Should give him a
commercials,
headshot.
this is my favorite Michelle Arthur still from a commercial. I love this outfit.
Wow. Hubba hubba.
Thank you.
Tell
What
us
was
what's
that
the
for?
story on this. Tell us this story here.
I love doing that commercial.
No.
She's in a skin
This
tight
is in-
bodysuit.
I could tell that. Where is that? Beverly Hills or Malibu?
Jeffrey,
Beverly
no, that looks like that's Beverly Hills.
Well, it's
Malibu, that looks like Topanga Canyon to me.
Tostal Estates.
Where?
Wait.
I think I remember being up in the hills, Tostal Estates in that area.
It's the Mercedes AMG Matago.
I got
For
to
the Matago. That's the
Oh, that's right. Jeff can't
Matago.
read.
Matago commercial.
He said
and-
high school is for suckers. Sorry, go on.
Oh, I got to drive that Mercedes.
It's
That was
huge.
cool. That was a great aspect of that. But I'm in this long gown, so that was
Wow.
a challenge. But I
Wait,
play
is
a
that
diva.
gown? I thought it was a bodysuit.
No. It looks like no. It's actually.
It looks like a running suit.
It's a long gown.
Wow.
long
Actually,
gown,
Well,
yeah.
you
But
fancy
it does,
pants.
You can see it looks like a
You're right.
body.
You're right. I thought it was a tracksuit, but you're right. It's a gown.
But it's a perfect shot. I like it. And that car is huge. It's a giant
No,
car.
it was brand new too, so I was nervous about driving it.
And you got to drive it.
I know that was
You
so cool.
drive a Mercedes, ladies in Mercedes.
He's been creeping on your page all weekend.
Because it was the script. I didn't think I would be driving it off this into for the scene. I'm actually driving it down this driveway. It's pretty steep, so I was a little nervous. And the car salesman was there where they leased it from a Mercedes place, and I said, "Can you just stay around just in
Wow.
case?" But he had to teach me, because it's brand new, different functions with it. But that was really great because I got to play a diva. You play so many different types of characters, and I could just let her rip in that one. I could just. You have to think of other people who are totally like that, and I've been on the receiving end of divas before, so you get a little bashed by them, and so to actually
Get to be
play
one?
a diva, to be on the other side of the fence, I could take out my aggression.
Wow. That's kind of nice, actually.
Was that a one-day shoot or?
It was.
Yeah.
It was just one day, but you prepare for these things days in advance, weeks in advance.
Before I had an agent, after I got my SAG card, I remember doing some show where we're driving these vintage taxi cabs.
Ooh,
You know what I mean?
fun.
And you're driving a taxi cab all night, and a Baldwin brother jumped in front of my taxi cab and I fishtailed because it was an old crappy taxi to avoid hitting the guy. And he's banging on the hood because he's improvising, blah, blah, blah. And the stunt coordinator runs up and he goes, good job, good job. And it was like, I almost killed the little
We're risking lives again.
Yeah, I mean, he ran in front of the car. Nobody told me he was running in front of the car. I was just there to use the heater and listen to Art Bell.
It's amazing.
That's crazy, man.
What some of these people do. Like, I remember reading a story about Mark Wahlberg driving. I think it was him driving up from San Diego to get to his classes. He had classes up here in LA, but he was living in San Diego at the time. This was before he was a big name. And that dedication, so you watch some of these people on set do these things that risk their lives, and sometimes they cost them their lives. These stunt coordinators, I have tremendous admiration for them. I actually got to do my first stunt scene on Boomer Hogs.
Wow, what'd you do? What was your stunt, Michelle?
It was a cat fight.
Really?
Yeah, and it had to be coordinated. And I worked with Sean Picano.
Is there hair pulling on this?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
So all of Jeff's fetishes.
The producer has all that footage. It was just a fun thing to do, to have this activity rather than just speaking, to actually play something out like that.
Now, were you more nervous about the dialogue or were you more nervous about the fight scene?
The dialogue, no, just both. They kind of both. They were both so important because in Meisner, the Meisner acting technique is to take on life experience from previously that you can just relive. And so I was reliving that experience, and I gave 110%.
Isn't that great? When you do your first fight scene, it's scary and it's exciting, but you're thinking, okay, I want to make sure I don't break this person's nose, and then make sure they don't break mine. Make sure.
Right. She had on a tiara, and I actually grabbed her tiara and yanked it off.
I did a fight scene, and the guy had connected with the stunt guy. And I said, and he goes, don't worry, I'll probably not do that to you. And I said, listen, whatever you do to me, I will do right back to you. So make sure you're very careful on this. And he was. He hit all his marks, but I go, if you punch me, I'm going to have to punch you.
Right. The rehearsals were fun. You're actually,
It's like dancing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, you're going to act like you're hitting her, but you're going to the left, she's moving to the right. Okay, I hope she does, because I might actually hit her if she doesn't.
As long as she knows where you're going to be. But that's the smart thing. When you do fight scenes, you only have a couple seconds with the other actor you're fighting. Most of the time, it's when it's to their back, it's your stunt double versus the actor, the actor's stunt double versus you. And, stunt guys know what they're talking about, and they'll set you up, and they'll tell you what to do. And it's perfect. You know what I mean? I remember doing a fight scene on some indie movie, and I had a kidney stone, and it was killing me. But the stunt guy jumped on my back. When he jumped on it, it didn't bother me at all. I go, hey, I go.
Oh, you told him in advance.
Yeah, I told the stunt guy, I go, listen, I've got a kidney stone. It feels like there's a butcher knife in my back. I said, whatever you do, avoid the spot. And he jumped on my back, and I thought I'd be in a world of pain. I wasn't. It was perfect.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Nice. We didn't have that luxury. It was just me and her who we were the actresses who played
And she
it
never
out.
connected.
We didn't have stunt doubles.
Wow.
Right.
Independent production at its finest. Did you get
How
cuffed?
many takes when you pulled off?
Did you get cuffed? Okay, good.
I didn't get hurt.
And you didn't cuff her?
No.
Okay, go ahead.
No one got hurt.
No. What about when you? How many times did you pull her tiara off in one take, or how many times did you do that?
We did probably 6 or 7 takes on that. We did a few to get it right.
Wow.
Pulling some hair out with the tiara, or did they fix that prop? Did they just make it so it came off easy, or like?
Yeah, well, I'm picked up. Sherwin Ross plays my opposite. I'm Myra Boomer. He's Mosey Boomer in Boomer Hogs. And
your title characters. Wow.
Yeah.
Bravo.
Yeah. I wasn't the lead actress.
Yeah, but you're one of the boomers, so you're one of the lead family. So
Yeah.
don't minimize yourself. Come on.
Right. It was a great opportunity because the speaking part was so intense, and then the cat fight, and Sherwin and I worked beautifully together, and my gal, she was just ferocious. So it worked, and it went over to the
Cannes Business Market. It didn't get into the film festival there, but it did.
Hey,
It was
what-
shown over there.
Once you get to cons, it's good. By the way, Michelle, Arthur, you've been delightful. We got 2 minutes to break.
2 minutes to break. Look in the window.
Pimp and plug, baby. Tell us what
It's
you want to
time
promote.
to plug yourself.
Promote yourself.
Promote.
actress.
Let's
Come
promote
on, Blondie.
Michelle
Let's do
Arthur,
it.
the beautiful Michelle Arthur.
What's next for the mysterious and beautiful Michelle Arthur?
We're going to the Oscars with my film Face Shadow.
You just jinxed the shit out of it, but hey.
I don't care. It's going.
Even if you show it in the bandstands.
Right.
But now, what's next for you? What's coming up?
I'm working on The Uncanny. We're in pre-production.
Good.
I'm getting ready to go to the screening for The French Teacher. That's getting ready to be released.
Nice.
February 20th, that time frame. So, yeah, that's what The Extraordinary Ordinary is starting to film. I'm on board for that, and we've got Scorpion Girl. It just released its first trailer. It's international.
Is that a superhero thing? Or?
Uh-huh.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the first Latin female superhero, Scorpion Girl, with Rivera Productions, Adolfo Rivera. So
Not Geraldo. Adolfo.
yeah, it was.
Are you the villainess?
I'm a detective Clark. I'm an associate producer on that, and district attorney Clark. But it has guaranteed distribution across every Latin America country already, and it's trying to go to Netflix and those types here in the United States. But it does have that Latin distribution guaranteed. So lots of juggling still.
Excellent.
You've been incredibly charming. You made 2 hours
you.
feel like 15 minutes.
Yes,
Thank you so
you
much.
filled the time we did like we didn't have enough. We could go for another 2 hours.
Yeah, we go.
But you can watch it. This will play instant replay, right, Dan?
I'm going to replay it. That's why I have to end the show, and that's why Dutchie came in here this morning.
Yes, you can
I
watch
have
the
to
show.
end
as
the
soon as you
show
leave
about
here.
5 minutes early, so that way I can replay it.
Wow.
And we'll play
You'll be
it
listening to yourself by
again
the time you get home.
from 9 to 11.
Tomorrow, what do we have on tomorrow?
Tomorrow, we have a girl who
Jeff-
wrote How to Make It in Hollywood tomorrow, right? Is she?
No, wait.
Oh, she was-
Jeff Mikowski?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Jeff from the Groundlings is on tomorrow. Mikowski
Yes.
from the Groundlings. Fine Polish American. And on Wednesday, we have a girl with her book, How to Make It in Hollywood.
All right. Thank
Ladies
you,
and gentlemen,
Michelle.
thank
Thanks
you,
for
charming,
tuning into
charming
the
Michelle
Jeff
Arthur.
Sargent Show. We'll
Thank
see you tomorrow.
Michelle.
Booyah. That's it, gang. Be good.